awesome.
Welcome to Nacht, Waffen Pilot with Penny Bradley. Today's guest is Drago Reid, and he sent me this long bio, and I'm going to give you a piece of it as a teaser, and we're going to talk. Drago is a polymath, an adept researcher, and a deep dive investigator with over 2 decades of study in the fields of ufology, astrobiology, exobiology, exopolitics, consciousness, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, the electric universe, the real suppressed history of the Earth, galactic history, extraterrestrial life, the military-industrial complex, what folks are calling MIC, classified government programs known as USAPs, secret societies, including the Illuminati, Freemason groups, and controlling bloodlines, the study of common, constitutional, and admiralty law. My tongue's tripping over itself. Satanic ritual abuse and trauma-based mind control programs. Is a Project MK Ultra, Monarch, Kruger, and Secret Space Program asset mind control deprogrammer, including dealing with alters and reintegrating alters, studies ancient civilizations, including Lemurian, Atlantean, Egyptian, Babylonian, Mesopotamian, the Anunnaki, prehistory, is a storehouse of esoteric and occult knowledge, and is also a spiritual guide. And I will note that he is a Dolores Cannon level 2 QHHT quantum healing hypnosis technique past life regressionist who has worked with hundreds of clients. So this should be interesting and a deep dive. Welcome, Drago.
Hey there, Miss Penny.
So, well, we've been chatting for what, an hour and a half, so it's time to get serious and go online. Where did you want to start?
I guess let's start with QHHT.
Okay.
You mean just start off?
I have had a real QHHT session. The lady was in Tracy, California, and she's now in Bali. So giving her name would be kind of useless. Nobody can contact her. But she was really good. She was really patient with me. And she spent about 6 hours on her session and then spent 2 hours trying to convince me that I wasn't crazy. So I really honor and respect her. So yeah, this is something that is important. So how did you get into it?
Initially through tattooing. I've always kind of been the person that was there for people. A lot of people that come to get tattoos have been through trauma. And a lot of people have lost people. They're commemorating breakups, the loss of a child, getting past an abusive relationship, marking a point in their life they want to get past. And to go through all these stories the last 22 years and be the person that's actually there for all these people, I've realized that it's something I wanted to get into to help heal people, because I've always had the ability to know what to say to people because I've had a traumatic life myself. And like when you try to give people advice and you've never truly lived what they're living, it never really resonates with them. But
yeah,
to be a person that has been tortured in various ways and you can relate to them because you've experienced a lot of what they've experienced, I thought that when I came across Dolores Cannon, I'm like, I have to do this. Like, this is calling to me big time. I felt like I've done this throughout numerous lives, it felt so natural to me that I was the person that people would come to help heal them, that I would help offer that modality to which they can release all this trauma. And I got into the Dolores Cannon stuff, and it blew me away because I've studied so many different subjects over the last 20 years. And I started reading the Dolores Cannon books, and everything she would talk about, it all dovetailed together. It connected this, it connected this. And I'm like, this woman knows what she's talking about. And it's funny, like I would see Dolores Cannon scrolling on my Facebook feed. I would just be scrolling in the news feed, and I would always ignore her because it's just like you would think it's just some random old woman. It wouldn't be interesting. That's what everybody usually says. They just scrolled right past her. And when I say that my teacher's name is Dolores Cannon, I said, you've seen her before. And people's like, I don't think I have. I'm like, trust me. You've been on Instagram and Facebook. You've been scrolling. You pass her all the time. And then I'll show them a photo. And they're like, oh my God, that's Dolores Cannon. I'm like, yes, that was my exact reaction, that I would just ignore her too. And then she's like one of the most important women on the planet. She helped start an entire awakening, and she was a hypnotherapist in the 50s, and she came across reincarnation on accident. And at that time, like,
didn't she come across it because it kept coming up in the hypnosis sessions?
well, what had happened was in the 1950s, reincarnation wasn't talked about much. That was a very Eastern kind of philosophy. It was mainly Christianity. So when you start telling people that reincarnation is real and you have multiple lives, the average Christian mind will be like, you're crazy.
Oh yeah,
That's absolutely
I
not true. You know
remember.
exactly what I'm
I
talking about.
remember that time frame. I was born then. My mother is still of that time frame, and yeah, it gets real difficult to talk to family
About these subjects.
about anything.
Honestly, that's kind of why I left Texas. There was so much. People aren't as awake as they think they are. And when you try to tell people the small things to build up to the big things, some people just aren't ready to listen. And ultimately, I realized it's not my mission to try to wake these people up because, number one, what I learned with all the Dolores Cannon stuff is we all have agreements. We incarnate in these lives with contracts with other people, and we have to play these specific roles. And some of these roles involve harming people that harmed you in other lives and vice versa. And when I realized that life isn't just over in the blink of an eye, and that this life I'm living has a point and a purpose, and that I'm not just insignificant. At that point, when I realized that that was truth, I told everybody about it. And I started showing people that this is inside themselves. And like when people get healed, I don't do any of the healing myself. I put them in a state of awareness that every human has, the ability to heal yourself. It exists within inside. But the problem is we have to contact your subconscious or the higher self in order to make these things happen. So you come to me for a session. If you've been traumatized in some way, you want to get past a divorce or something happened to you in your life, I can take you to the moment where it happened to remove what it did to you, if that makes sense. I can bring in your higher self to explain, and this is explained through your own mouth. When the way a QHHT session works is, I'm not a psychic, but the way the technique works is,
I saw the wink.
I talk about some things. If you know me personally, you would call me psychic, and you would laugh. And the way I can read people and say things about people that no one knows exists, I'm very clairvoyant and claircognizant. And that came with the bump on my head in 2005 with the motorcycle crash. So everything just got to the point where I thought it was better to live a life where I'm helping heal other people because it's helped healing myself, because I went through all this trauma in my life, and every person I help heal, I heal a part of myself that was damaged. Because
I've heard that from others too. So you're not unique. but it's nice to hear you admit it.
Yeah, it's very powerful to, like, you know how many times I've got to hold back tears while I have a client under and they're going through this trauma and I have to just breathe. I'm just like, and I got to breathe in a way where during the recording it doesn't show. So sometimes I'm just holding it back. Like, they're going through them getting raped as a child, like 3 months old. And like, I've got to be there for them and go through this trauma with them to help them uncover what happened to them. So it takes a really strong person to be there for somebody, kind of like you did. You did a lot of counseling for a long time, but it was so overwhelming because all the energy that you had to bring out of people, it stayed with you and it overwhelmed you. And we
Yeah,
all have enough of our own
that's
stuff
been
going
a
on in life.
that's been a problem for me, and a lot of why I had to stop counseling was it was just so completely overwhelming, and I could not get rid of it. It's just sort of sat there. And I've stepped back, and I guess the proper term is remote viewed myself. And it's like this scene of a destroyed city, and here I am sitting in the middle of it. And it's that's where I'm sitting. And I've told people I can't do this anymore. And some of them hear me and some of them don't. I have to do something with all of this accumulated crap before I can even move forward, because I'm completely surrounded by it on all sides.
Yeah, you bring it into your energetic body and it accumulates. And if you don't transmit that energy somewhere else, it stays in your energetic body. And you can take on people's karma and their energy from those sessions. And if you don't discharge it correctly, then it can be very bad. It can really stay with you. And I've learned my own protocols to help discharge that energy. Like, one of the things I do that's not taught in QHHT is a form of, I guess I would call it Reiki. Stuff I've done in other past lives, where basically I can read a body, and during the session, the higher self is doing a body scan to help remove certain thought forms or certain traumas or certain things in that person that needs to be healed at that moment. When that's done, sometimes I have to assist because it's pretty extreme. Like, I like to pride myself in attracting the most traumatized, most messed up people on the planet. Because
Well, that's the SSP, folks.
I do that because I will truly listen to you. I truly believe the story, and I want to help these people heal themselves, because other past lives I've had a lot of suffering. And I know what it's like firsthand to go through these things. Being a QHHT practitioner, I've been shown numerous of my lives, and it's pretty humbling to see the level that I've obtained and to not have ever let it got to me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm basically here to help awaken the people, help show them that they do have this power, and there is a way where you don't have to feel alone anymore. And we don't have to feel insignificant, and we can connect to the other side. We can prove it exists. We don't have to guess anymore. This is real stuff.
Well, I know the other side exists. I spend more time there than here these days. That's hard to explain to a lot of folks, but whatever I am as a soul thinks this body is too small. So I spend more time out of it than in it.
Well, I mean, you have 7 trillion small fires burning inside you that forms this body that's not even physical. Like, quantum mechanics proves that our body isn't even real. It's our
Yeah.
consciousness thinking it's real. So these traumas that we talked about, even though our body's not physical, these traumas are inside us. And if we don't transmute them on a regular basis or talk about them and bring it forward, kind of like the people in the SSP, I've always prided myself to help people in the SSP. I will always go out of my way to help uncover your truth because I know it's real. And I've met so many assets that it's overwhelming. And when I go to these shows, I like to go to like the big shows like Contact in the Desert and Conscious Life Expo and stuff. I don't like to go to talk anymore. I like to go to meet people and do interviews and interview people, to
Oh,
connect with people. And that's what I love doing the most. Like I will do so many sessions at a show, it's ridiculous. But
I
even though
was
I have other people to see, I'll still make that time to talk to you and to help you. If that makes sense.
I was going to one conference a year, and it wasn't really to speak, and I wasn't getting paid, so it wasn't to make money. It was very expensive for me to go, but I went to connect with the people who wanted to, the term is press the flesh, the people who wanted to meet me in person and pick my brain. And they usually lasted 3 or 4 days. And by the time we would come home, I would just be dead tired from people sucking out of me. I tend
Because
to
you
be
never
an,
get anything back.
I tend to be an introvert anyway. And for me to be public takes a lot of energy. And yeah, I wasn't getting anything back. And when I was fired because a certain person declared that he was lying in court and everything was his intellectual property, the producer, who is a flat earther anyway, decided that all of us were lying. So I was actually, I was hurt at first because I had invested so much into it. But after I thought about it, I was relieved that I didn't have to do this anymore. And that's a weird feeling. Something that I had been doing literally for years. And it was done with, and I was relieved.
I mean, it's a lot to take on. The average person can't put themselves in scenarios like that because if you're singled out as the person to talk to, that would be like the go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
That's overwhelming because number one, it stops all regular conversations and it's
Mm-hmm.
all serious stuff. When people meet you, they go to 0 to 100 the first word and they don't stop. It's 100 miles an hour and it gets faster.
And when this one stops, that one starts. So there is no break. And there's never a normal conversation. There's never a hi, how are you? You doing okay? Can I get you a glass of water? There's never any of that. It's just wham, 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 wham. And you have to deal with other speakers. Not the last conference I was at. Well, okay, the last conference I was at, there was a speaker who sat there and said, I'm from the speaker and I'm from the future and I'm sent here to watch over Penny Bradley because the future needs her blood. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck? Stalker much? And the conference before that I was at, the main speaker was standing at the podium with a mic in his hand and called me a demon. And I'm like, what? I was a demon because I said that extraterrestrials were physical beings like us. It was like dealing with lions, tigers, and bears. They're carnivores. Are we going to exterminate them all because they're carnivores? Are we going to exterminate all the ETs in the entire galaxy because some of them are carnivores? I mean, that's insane. So he decided I was a demon. And I'm like, really? Okay. I'm sitting there listening to this man call me a demon. And meanwhile, every person who's paid money wants to ask me question after question after question after question. And people don't understand this crap hurts. I may be a public person, but I'm still a human being. I still have feelings. And these people are cruel, vicious. And at this point, I'm frankly relieved I don't have to deal with them anymore. I do my show. I talk to the people I want to talk to. And it's a much better life for me.
I completely understand what you mean. Like, how many times have you done these shows and you came back physically sick?
3/4 of them.
That's because you take on all those person's energies. It physically weighs you down. If you don't, like, what I like to do is every single day I do a show or convention, I will imagine taking my hands, putting all the energy of my entire live body in my hands into an orb. And all that energy they sent me that day, I sent it back into this orb, and I sent it back to the people who sent it to me originally. That's an easy way to do it. And after I started doing that on a regular basis, I stopped feeling all this pressure in my heart. Because one thing I had to ask the higher selves when I'm doing these sessions, why do I feel like I'm having a heart attack during almost every session? Feels like someone's sitting on my chest.
Yeah, it
And
does.
they told me that I was taking on so much energy that it was suffocating me. And I was spread very thin because I didn't have any protocols that helped me discharge all that energy. So it can be very toxic
Mhm. It
if you
has
do
been.
it a lot. That's why a lot of practitioners, they don't do anything past the average QHHT practitioner. I don't see them doing more than 30 sessions over an entire lifetime. So they don't know what that would be like to do 30 to 50 sessions a year. That's what I do. I do 30 to 50 sessions a year. That is a lot. On top of
On
another
top of what?
full-time job.
On top of another
So,
full-time job, that is a lot.
yes. So I do an abnormal amount of sessions, and I'm booked up in advance, and sometimes I get a lot of burnout. So I have to be like, I'm taking a month off. I'm taking 2 months off. I'm not doing any sessions. I'm not taking anything. I'll put everybody on a waiting list, and I'll let you know when I'm free. I'll start taking sessions immediately. Just happened last year. I got really burnt out. I was doing sessions constantly, and I just had to take some time off, and I feel amazing because I took all that time off, and it's something you need for your own health.
I took a week off a couple of weeks ago. I had scheduled a trip to go see my brother, and the airline screwed it up. So I was left at home with no appointments because I had thought I was going to be in Phoenix. And yeah, I piddled a little bit on Facebook just to piddle, but it felt so good to just relax. I had not done that in years. The time I had taken off before was for medical problems. It wasn't to just relax. So, yeah, I get it. So, yeah, I'm gonna try that energy bubble.
Remember, I had told you last time we were kind of talking through private messaging that I recommend you go out to the woods, take your shoes off, be with nature. You said you don't have a cell phone, so you don't have to worry about leaving your cell phone and being bombarded with those energies, but just go out and be by yourself, man. Observe nature and observe the small things and see how as above, below reflects how you feel inside. Like when I'm feeling the most messed up, I'll go to nature and then I'll just watch the insects and just feel like I'm a part of them and just sit in amazement. I feel like I'm an elemental energy that's invisible in another life, and I'm just here to witness all the miracles and the small things that not humans do. Humans, yes, I love watching when humans help other humans, but to watch insects do that and to see the little things they go through in life and how they live their life, it's very humbling, man. And like it connects me very deeply. So I'm always out in nature. I like to kayak a lot. I kayak a lot. I like to be on the water and just be with the fish and be with nature and just to breathe. But that's a secret. Get in nature, breathe. All the negative stuff that's happening in your life, it all just goes away when you're in nature. And then you start getting the most amazing downloads and information. Everything that you've been withholding and all the stuff you needed, it was, you couldn't get a lot of this information that helped you feel more free, right? Because you were so distracted dealing with all the traumas of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my secret. I remove myself from the traumas of the world. I turn off the internet and just go be with nature. And it's amazing. Go swimming in a lake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not right now. They're frozen.
Well, I live in Florida, so right now it's hot. It's hot outside right now. So, I was just kayaking yesterday on the lake. My days off.
I'm in the Central Sierras, just north of Yosemite. What is it, 10 miles uphill? There's snow? Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Huh?
It's pretty close to the cold.
Yeah, it's close enough that it's cold here. And the wind coming down off that is icy. The streets are icy at night. They're not so much in the daytime. But it's winter here. I mean, where I live, it may be California, but we have 4 seasons here. Actually, most of California does. It's just the coast that doesn't. So the rest of the country doesn't know that, though. They think
Kind of
it's
like I'm from Texas. We have the 4 seasons as well, including the hardcore snow blizzard storms. And people's like, but you're Texan. I'm like, what's your point, man? You don't think we don't get cold weather? Like, we get weather in the teens in Texas. That's cold as heck.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I moved away from Texas because of the damn psychotic freaking weather. Hot one day, freezing the other. Then you got your snowstorms and your rainstorms, and it just doesn't end. I do not miss that. All my friends from Texas that are watching this, I don't miss Texas. I love Florida. No offense. I can wear shorts 365 days a year and flip-flops if I want, because it's freaking Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't we have a lot of conventions here?
I've got a song running through my head. All my exes live in Texas, and that's why I'm in Tennessee.
I make that joke all the time. They're like, why would you not want to go back to Texas? I'm like, because all my exes live in Texas. I'm freaking happy away from all of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? No drama, no connection in any way. I am how many hundreds of miles away, and no one knows
so that was a side connection. That wasn't just my mind making things.
No, I got it.
Okay. Okay. I'm not always sure because I don't really hear your voice. I hear this nice neutral, neither male nor female, and it's just words running through my head, and I'm like, okay, where did that come from? So, and a lot of the times it comes from the person I'm talking with, and I don't recognize it, so I'll blurt something out, and they're going, but I was thinking that, and I go, that's where that came from.
I mean, telepathy is a real thing. We just try to always tell ourselves everything's a coincidence. Like, what are the odds you were thinking of the same thing I was? I'm like, we're inhabiting the same wave field of information. All information you think of is in my head. I just can't fix onto it in a local kind of way.
Okay. I can get into someone's head and have a two-way conversation that they have to listen to. I can also dig into your head and go through all of your memories. But I don't like people doing that to me, so I don't do it to others. If I get into your head to have that two-way conversation, it's because you've done something to me. Okay. One man I did that to was at a conference. And every time he walked past me, he would telepathically say the word fangirl, disparagingly, like I was fake. And I had put up with this for 3 days. This was the last day of the conference, and I was like, okay, I've had it. So I got into his head, and we had a 2-hour, two-way conversation. And then I left his head, and I've left him alone ever since. I have not entered the man's mind at all. So I've heard through others that he thinks I'm Draco infested, but that's funny. You know, come on. I got past his defenses. I made it clear to him that yes, I am telepathic. Yes, I can do this if I want to. Yes, I am the real deal. No, I'm not faking. Grow up and act like a man, you know? So show some respect to your peers. That was my whole point. I did not make him do anything. I did not read his memories. It was none of my damn business what else was in his head. Do you know what I hear when I don't block? I hear the neighbors talking about they gotta go take a leak. I hear them rummaging through the refrigerator, figuring out what they want to eat. I hear the men looking at something on TV. Damn, I'd nail that. I hear, do I want a beer or not? Do I want to listen to that? Would anybody in their right mind want to listen to that all day and into the night? Come on. That's why I block.
I mean, you made it very clear when you remote view that it's about respect, and you would never violate anyone's free will because it's about something that exists within your own morals. And the only way you would do that is if you physically had to show them that they're crossing a line.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was showing him that he was being rude and judgmental, and that I did indeed have the abilities that I said I did. And he's been respectful since, except for telling my friend that I was Draco infested. That was pretty damn rude. But otherwise, this particular individual learned his lesson, I think.
You know, it's funny, you mentioned just Draco in general in our line of work, and like you either get this extremely sharp negative reaction that's in the gut. They're like, did you say Draco? I'm like, Draco. No, that they're evil. I'm just like,
No,
have
they're
you
not.
read any Sumerian tablets before? Have you heard of the Anunnaki? Have you read anything past 2,000 years old? Or have you only read the internet? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's actually offensive. It's like people like us, we do deep dive studying, and we can see the truth and what's been covered up, and like what was taken from other stories that are more ancient. You know, like a lot of the Bible was literally jacked from the Sumerian tablets. Like a lot of the Bible was taken from the Atrahasis or the Epic of Gilgamesh, and like
It wasn't just from the Sumerians. A lot of the Torah, the books of Moses, were lifted from the Egyptian temple texts. And then they put Sumerian tablet histories in as subtext.
A
So
lot of the Egyptian stuff too.
they just the laws of Moses. Not okay. The Ten Commandments for sure were just lifted from the temple texts. But there's something like 600 some odd actual laws of Moses. And if you go through that, those are just lifted from the Egyptian. You know, the Bible says Moses was an Egyptian prince.
Yeah, and a lot of that's Hammurabi's code.
Yeah, they all overlap because the Anunnaki were real.
I
And
mean, Noah was an Anunnaki. The original descriptions of Noah was he was a giant. He was a giant, and he had like white skin. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
come on,
his father was saying, my wife cheated on me. She had sex with one of the Anunnaki because this baby doesn't look like me. It has white skin and it's big. It says that. So you have to really pay attention. The Bible gives you the clues if you read and you
and
don't
if you
just
truly read the
dismiss.
Bible, you got to take it literally. When they say that these demigods were giants, come on. They were depicted in stone and clay as literal giants. Like, why would we want to build them up another human if they were just human? Why would we want to make them 3 to 4 times the size of us? The typical explanation is, well, they say that they were godlike, so we made them more statuesque. That's horse crap. Like,
Yeah.
not the original Sumerian tablets gave the exact measurements for some of these beings. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like they're the ones that invented mathematics and measurements and all this, or at least brought it to this planet. You know what I'm
They
saying?
brought it here. They gave us a real view of the the solar system and the galaxy. And then at a certain point, they decided we were too smart. And that was when they gave us the lie of a flat earth with a dome over it. So that because we were too smart, we were building our own starbase. That's what the
Tower of Babel.
Tower of Babel story was all about. Was we were building our own starbase. We were going to reach into the heavens and go see God at his house. And that was unacceptable.
Yeah, and Lil did not like that.
So they
Can I just call him Yahweh? And Lil
yeah,
did not like that at all.
so they dumbed us down, split up our languages so we can't talk to each other, sent us in different directions, put a different Anunnaki over each group. And so we were taught variations of a theme as far as morals and follow God. But which God was whichever Anunnaki was put over us. And we were given different skin colors because those are the people who belong to that person. They could just look at us. And by the way we physically appeared, know who we belonged to. That's all that skin color was for. And now you've got the whole damned world is fighting over skin color. Why? It's nothing.
The law of inversion.
Okay. The less important it is, the more they fight over it.
They basically try to convince us that we're all different, but we're ultimately the same damn being. And they just create separation and they invert the masculine, make it the feminine, make it the masculine. They take one energy, turn it to the other. All of our history is backwards. Everything is inverted. And that's basically the prototype to how they actually made it happen.
Well, I've been frustrated with it because when you read the Sumerian tablets, when you read the Egyptian temple texts, you had all these people of all these different ethnicities living together in peace and harmony until the Tower of Babel, at which point they were split up to serve different Anunnaki. And their language and skin type was changed to make a homogeneous group so that the Anunnaki could look at us and know who you belong to. Just look at you. And we've turned that into something to kill each other over. That's insane. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of bloodshed. There's been a lot of trauma. There's been a lot of warfare. There's been a lot of sheer cruelty over the millennia in between. But it's not going to stop by demanding retribution. It's not going to stop by saying, well, this should belong to us, so we're taking it. It's not, we are where we are. We need to grow up as a species and take responsibility for our own crap. And we haven't been. We've been like, oh, E.T.'s going to come save me. Why the fuck would they want to do that?
They could have done that for the last couple of thousand years or the last 30,000 years. Obviously, they could have done it.
They could have done it at
Ultimately,
any
this is our
point.
responsibility.
They could have done it at any point from the time that the Anunnaki showed up and started messing with the Homo erectus. At any point after that, they could have done whatever they were going to do. Why do humans today think anybody cares what happens to us? No, I've had Jahami Anunnaki tell me, what do you do when you own a farm and in the back 40 you've got a forest and the monkeys suddenly start building houses and farming? That is how they view their situation with us. We are the monkeys that started building houses and farming. They don't care about us. We're a problem to them. We're like, okay, you go into a red state in California and you have, let's say, wolves or grizzly bears attacking your sheep or cows. And you can't do anything about them because of the Endangered Animals Act. They're in that situation. We're a protected species because we're a child race that they're watching. So they can't just wipe us out, but they actually view us as an infestation at this point because we're taking over their land and doing what we want instead of what they want. And they're like, so, it's hard when you think you're a superior animal and you're looking at this bug, which is pretty much how they look at us. They're not their equals. Their IQ is in the 400 range. We're not anywhere near them. Our top people are not anywhere near them. And yet we think somebody else is going to come in and rescue us from them. Why?
Yeah, we're just Raka.
Racha means slave. It means fool. It means someone who is dependent on others to do their thinking for them. And it's a drach word. Racha is, even in Hebrew, it means fool. So people need to think about that. That's what the Draco call us, Racha, because we think someone is supposed to come rescue us. If we were truly sentient in their eyes, we would stand up for our own rights. The fact that we don't, that we allow the Anunnaki to tell us what to do, that we follow their instituted religions because they're God. We're Racha. We're slaves. We're fools. And if you're a fool, nobody cares what happens to you. And I can't seem to get that through people's heads because the Pleiadians are going to come rescue us. The Zetas are going to come rescue us. You know, why haven't the Guardians come and rescued us? Trust me, if the Guardians show up in orbit, you'd better be scared because they ain't here to rescue you. That's one of the things that's popular due to a certain liar. The Guardians are the military police of the galaxy. They answer to the civilization of the core. They don't care about individual worlds. They care about order and enforcing the law. And Star Trek had it right about the Prime Directive. Advanced races are not supposed to screw with primitive ones. And we are considered a child race. Basically,
Not even a level 1 civilization.
We're not even a good 0.
It's true.
We're not. And yet people tell me, oh, we're gonna ascend to 5D. And I go, really? You can't even connect with 3D? And you're gonna skip over the land of the dead and go directly to the land of light? Really? And how are you gonna pull this off? Well, I have ascension symptoms. Look them up. Those are EMF poisoning. If you think you're going to go through the rapture or ascension in this lifetime, you're just consenting to your own death.
That's literally what that 10 amounts to. Everybody wanting it, you have to die in order to transcend. So, like,
yeah, and it's obvious. It's in your face. It's, oh yeah, this is religious belief, and you look at it. You're consenting to your own murder. What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're just going to step out of their body and just be like, I'm in the 5D Earth. Cool. It's a little more technical than.
I've had people tell me their physical body is going to change from 3D to 5D. And I'm like, okay. And then they think I'm mean because I'm not buying into their pet theory. And it's like, okay. I've been accused of being an atheist too. That one's hilarious.
I think of you of all people, someone calling you an atheist, I would laugh because, like, you kind of respect the gods. You've seen their power. Like, you've had to witness this stuff. And it's not like other people where you read stuff and you're like, well, they said Inky's supposed to be this way and he's a really nice guy and he helped save us. And then a person like that would actually know the stories and you've actually been through this, you're like, you're freaking insane. You know nothing. You deserve to be enslaved, just like the Draco says.
Yeah,
if that kind of mentality, you deserve to be enslaved.
Yeah, I hear these stories about how wonderful Enki is, and if you're just comparing him to Enlil, yeah, he is wonderful.
I like to tell people the story of the Anunnaki brothers. It's about two bad guys, but the lesser bad guy just didn't want to have all his damn work killed off because that's what his job was. He was a geneticist. Yes, you love creating things, right?
I don't think of either one of them as exactly bad guys. Okay. we've got two brothers, and they're already fighting over their sister because whoever has a son with the sister is the king.
The Nursog.
Yeah, so they're already fighting each other over her. Okay, and one of them is a bean counter, counts basically an accountant type, and the other one is this scientist who falls in love with his creations. Now, they're very different personalities, but one is not necessarily nicer than the other. They both want to be king, so they're both ambitious. So it's like they're both Anunnaki, they're both ambitious, they're both warlike because they go to war over Ninhursag. They go to war twice over Ninhursag. And you're like, in some ways they're like mirror duplicates, and in other ways they're very different, but neither one is good or bad. They just are. And that's the point that people are missing. They're not gods like a wonderful benevolent being that's a sugar daddy in heaven. They're powerful, intelligent beings with psionic abilities that would scare the crap out of you, and we are hardwired to drop to our knees in their presence.
Well, they make sure to impregnate that worship gene in our DNA.
Exactly. When I've been around them physically in their presence, the hardest thing I had to do was not drop to my knees. I had to remain standing and somewhat defiant in order to not be a Racha.
Yeah, because they don't like kiss asses. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Kind of like the Draco specifically. If they catch you kiss assing, number one, they can hear you trying to kiss ass in your own mind. Like you do not do that to a Draco.
You don't even have, it doesn't even have to come out of your mouth because they can hear you thinking it. No kiss asses. Kiss asses are Racha. So you have to stand in your own dignity, in your own power. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to say, I matter. I may not be as smart or as psychic or as powerful as you are, but I matter. And you have to stand in that no matter what your DNA is telling you to do, and just basically eye to eye with them, whether they want to see it or not. And if you do that, they will respect you. And if you don't, you're Racha, and you might be dinner. And yes, the Anunnaki eat people too.
Even the original Lyrans eat flesh as well. Everybody likes to say the Lyrans were like the pure race, and then the Draco came in. They didn't have weapons, and then they took over there, and then they scattered, went to Pleiades, Mars, here and here, and come on, man. Like it's
Lyrans are big cats. What do big cats eat?
they like meat. I'm sure Sekhmet wasn't vegetarian. You know what I'm saying?
If you read the Egyptian stories, Sekhmet went on a rampage where she killed thousands of people, and the only way they were able to stop her was they mixed blood with beer and got her drunk. That's not exactly someone I want to piss off.
And everybody worships these beings as if they're the benevolent gods. It's like, have you ever read a single actual story of these beings that predates what's on the internet? Like, come on, man. Like, if I read Sumerian tablets, I go to UCLA online and I get everything translated in real time. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
I was friends with God, I blanked on his name. Gerald, damn, I blanked on his name. He died a couple of years back from cancer. Gerald Clark.
I knew he was going to say Gerald Clark. Right when he said Gerald, I'm like, Clark, Clark, Clark.
Blurt it out, please. Um, Gerald was a really good guy. I had the utmost respect for that man. And he and I would talk once in a while. And I asked him one time about what was the difference between how he saw the tablets and how Sitchin did. And he said that Sitchin did good for what he had available at the time, but that his failure was that if he didn't know what a word was in Sumerian, he substituted the Hebrew word. And that gave him a warped view.
Mm.
Now, I've been friends with Sasha Lesson since I was public. He's a great guy. When I went to Contact in the Desert 2018, he was going up. I've got pictures of me hugging him, hair down to my
Funny,
ass.
I was at that show, and I don't think I think I knew of you then, but I definitely didn't see you because I would have been like, holy crap, it's Penny. Like that was the beginning of when I started getting into your information.
Um, I
That was
did.
a good show though, man.
I didn't
Right
have
before COVID.
money to go. I was gifted being able to share. Uh, Catherine Kite had a timeshare, and she gifted Lou and I to stay in one of her rooms for free. And Lou and I signed up as volunteers. So we had to work 15 hours each for our entry fee. And I worked in the ticket office, and he worked security because he used to have a license to be a security officer. And we worked our asses off.
Does that go back to when he was working on the mines?
Yeah, that's what his job was at the mine. Was
Yeah, you worked in the office.
no, I was the janitor. I cleaned
Okay,
I
yeah,
cleaned the offices through the
gotcha.
whole plant.
Cleaning offices. You worked in the
Clean,
offices. I got the story straight.
I cleaned the offices, and I maintained the material safety forms and before the chemicals that I used to clean. And I had to take the MSHA training every year. And yeah, I had to wear a hard hat. And the MSHA guy and I had a talk. I told him, yeah, I know I'm supposed to wear steel-toed boots, but what I really need are the non-skid sneakers because I work on wet floors. And he says, tell you what, you wear your sneakers, you keep your steel-toed boots in the car. So if they say something, you say, oops, and go change.
Was this before OSHA regulation? This is in the 80s, right?
This was in the 90s, and MSHA is Mine Safety Health Act. They have priority over mines and quarries. This was an open pit quarry. So it was MSHA, not OSHA.
Yeah, there's a lot of chemicals in those rocks that are toxic to humans, so you kind of need to know a lot of this.
They were having problems with asbestos, and my doctor knew that, and he was throwing fits about me working there. Absolute fits. He eventually told me, after I tore up my shoulder the first time, he told me that I had to quit or I had to find a new doctor. And I ended up unemployed for a year. Took me a while to find a job. Let's just say I'm a little odd. My energy precedes me, and some folks find that. How was it they described me at one job? Too weird for words. So, yeah. I mean, this was before my memories were activated. I had no idea why I was the way I was. I know now, but you have to live with how you are.
When was the first time you realized that you were different? Was that childhood?
Third grade, I think. Yeah. Second grade, I had gone out in the schoolyard and opened up my coat, and the wind picked me up, and I flew the whole length of the schoolyard. Scared the crap out of the teacher. Scared the crap out of my mom when she was told about it. I guess kids aren't supposed to fly.
Well, we know that a lot of these abilities children have, and they talk about these abilities until they hit about puberty, and then all these powers are cut off. So I would assume that with your DNA and your background, you would have a lot more cool things going on behind the scenes as a child.
I have the ability to take physical objects interdimensional.
And it helps with navigation.
That's what navigation actually is taking the ship into hyperspace, which is interdimensional. Now, what most people don't understand is corollary, side effect, cannot be cut off. Side effect is if you are traveling between dimensions, it's because you have interaction with those dimensions and with the ecologies of those dimensions. So as a child, I'm constantly interacting with interdimensional beings from other frequencies. I'm seeing all of them together. I'm seeing a layer that looks like cartoons. I'm seeing a layer that's 3D real. I'm seeing a layer that looks like 3D real, but it's sort of translucent. You can sort of see through it. There's another layer that it's like, you remember the old overhead overlays, the translucent things where they drew on them? And so it's like that. And all of these are overlapping. So you see people with skulls over their faces because they're dead inside. You see people that are completely covered with different kinds of insects because they're being eaten by those particular interdimensionals. And you have animals that talk to you. You have angelics. You have things that people call demons. And this is my regular everyday life.
I had interactions like that in other lives, but not in this life. This is the most controlled life I've ever had in my life from an external point of view. You know what I mean?
This is my everyday life from the time I was sent back from the first trip. I have no memory from before I was 4, so I very well may have been experiencing this before then. But I know I've experienced it ever since I was 4. My father was a pastor for the Church of Christ. I terrified him. they would think I was asleep, and I would hear my parents arguing over he thought he was raising a witch.
Didn't he have a lot of religious programming as well?
Oh God, yes.
Because I remember the stories that we've had privately and other ways that you told me the things he did.
Well, he used to beat me if I talked about anything he couldn't see. And he would call me a liar. Now that's why people calling me a liar triggers me so badly, is because Dad used to beat me. So, you know, it's like this response that I haven't learned to shut off yet. But, you know, I'll get somebody out there who says that I'm full of shit, and I'm okay with it until they use the word liar, and that just triggers the emotional response. And the good part of Dad reacting that way was that I can tell the difference between 3D and everything else. So I know what other people can see. Because I eventually learned, okay, that's the layer Dad can see. And you don't talk about anything else because you'll get your ass beat. And I don't use the word beat lightly. There would be times I couldn't walk for a week afterwards. And he was doing this to a 6, 7, 8-year-old. I was about 8 when I figured out what layer he could see and stopped talking about everything else. It's been, he was difficult. He worked full-time on a dairy with a split shift and part-time as a pastor. And we were expected to let him sleep in the mornings. And I was a noisy, nervous child. And he would get mad and do things just because I was talking or making noise. I was keeping him awake. From his point of view, it was major. From my point of view, it was like, I can't do anything right. And he, at one point, locked me inside a closet with black widow spiders to make me learn to shut up. So this was, my family was almost as abusive as Langley had been, except there wasn't sexuality involved. It was pure physical and emotional abuse.
I'm not saying contracted, but weren't they involved in helping put that abuse forward as part of an agreement of being in the family? I'm not saying your family, I'm saying the family.
I don't think my parents knew they were in the family.
So you think they were in like a main altar and they never broke that altar?
Okay, my family line came to the United States in the 1700s. And they immediately married into the locals and moved from Virginia to Carolina and then across into Georgia. And at that point, Georgia was Cherokee Nation. And with the Trail of Tears, they moved with the Cherokee. Now, if you go to the Eastern Band Reservation, and I visited there, there are Bradleys there who are native, who are Cherokee, and they looked like my father. But in my tree, I can't trace where my father was descended from Cherokee. through the Bradleys. I can through the Parks, but not the Bradleys. And so I'm thinking that one of the Bradley ancestors married into the Cherokees, but we're obviously related to them. They looked so much like my dad. And so it, yeah, this glow in the dark white. I had a very dark skinned father with gray eyes. So, you know, obviously mixed. And it's been, he had a lot of anger. His mother had raised him with ambition to be wealthy. And instead of being wealthy, he had 5 kids. And children are expensive. And then when I was 12, he got hurt at work. And from that point forward, he was disabled. He died at 45 from heart disease. So he had a hard life. But I think that the family forgot we existed. I think once they went across the line into Georgia, that the family thought we were dead. Because when I came up and I did my family tree and I connected up with certain lines, notably Robert the Bruce, I suddenly started being contacted. And I have been given a written apology for the family losing us. So I'm not sure if we were so much discarded as ran away. But my grandparents and my parents did not practice the family religion. We were Christian. I want to make that clear. We were Christian. Church of Christ. Anti. The really conservative ones. There was nothing occult. There was nothing magic. There was nothing, any of that. And my father was absolutely terrified that he was raising a witch. His words. So there were folks in my family tree in the 1600s who were burned at the stake. And so, you know, this is in my family tree. Without the CRISPR tech DNA added to me. This was my heritage anyway. But yeah, the family who have talked with me, I guess they examined my siblings and their lives and how they operated and things, and they have decided that I'm a throwback back to them and that the rest of my family is okay to go about their lives. But they will be watched now in case one of their children is like me.
Well, usually they'll identify that at basically birth.
Yeah. We're a large family. My parents had 5 kids. My grandparents had like 18 grandkids. You know, it's a large family. So, but yeah, it was me hunting revealed this branch, and I feel guilty about that because my grandparents had successfully hidden us.
Have you ever tried to remote view what was going on in your grandparents' lives and their parents' lives to see if this trauma went all the way back as far as them? Because more than likely, I would think that it's been constant throughout your genealogy,
Um, my
especially with your genetic connections.
my grandmother's father was a Windsor bastard and was adopted out. And his adoptive father had been paid really well to bring him to America, but he didn't even teach him to read or write. My great-grandmother did. So they had money until Roosevelt closed the banks, and the banker ran off with the money. They've had some trauma, but they were Freemasons, so they were more or less exempted from some of the stuff that's happened to me and my generation. My great-grandmother kept trying to get me included into Order of Eastern Star. She kept trying to tell my dad that things would be easier for me if they let me. And Dad thought they were evil and wouldn't have anything to do with it. I think from what I have found in my researches, and you've researched them, so I don't know what you've concluded, but I have found that there are competing groups, and who's good and who's bad depends on who you talk to.
It's kind of like trying to figure out what happened with galactic history. Depending on what side you talk to, they'll say the exact opposite of what happened every
Yeah,
single time.
yeah, exactly. So I had been brainwashed that everybody was bad until I found out the Knights Templar had sworn to defend my family. Not my family in the last 300 years, but my family 900 years ago. They swore to defend us. And when I've talked to people who were Knights Templar, they have simply asked to see my tree. They wanted to see the connection from me to Robert the Bruce. And once I provided that, they've been anything I asked of them, they were more than happy to provide. And I've made an effort to not take advantage of them, to treat them with the same honor and respect that they treat me. But it's like, I can no longer believe any of the stuff that's out there. I mean, come on. There's so much crap being told. And 90% of it is just some asshole pulled it out of his ass. There are no 13 families. There is no Council of 300. There is one family, and at the time of the Crusades, they ruled all of Eurasia from Iceland to Korea. And they are so interbred that the family tree looks like a grapevine instead of a tree. They did intermarry with the people they ruled, so they look like the people they rule. But they're all one family. Still, there is no this group and this group and this group and this group. No, they're all cousins trying to kill each other.
Is that not the Game of Thrones?
Exactly. The Game of Thrones may be fiction, but it isn't. And it's like, they're all cousins, first cousins, second cousins, third cousins. You go, all of these people, you go no more than 4 generations back, and they've got the same ancestors.
Kind of like Bridget de Seven Young found out. She's this little girl that did a homework experiment for class, and she found out that all but 2 of our presidents are connected genetically.
Yeah, they're all descendants of
John
John
Lackland.
Lackland.
Yeah, so is that not
So am
bloodline
I.
love or what? So every single
So
one of our
so am
presidents.
I.
I know about your history.
And it's like, you look at this and you go, it's one family.
And they're all cousins. It all said in the
And they're,
genetic tree, it's all cousins. Even Barack Obama is cousins separated from John Lackland, for Christ's sake. Trump was one of the only ones that is not connected to it whatsoever.
Trump
One other president.
Van Buren, because he was Dutch. But you look at this and you think to yourself, who had the chutzpah to make up all these stories? And I keep going back to the internet and I keep finding this and this and this and this and this, and it all comes back to the same 3 people. David Icke, Fritz Springmeier, and the guy that mirrors a lot of Springmeier's work, Wes Penra. Those 3 guys are responsible for all of this bullshit out there.
Yeah, Wes talks mainly about the death traps.
They're all the lies come down to those 3 men, and I have to wonder, did they know they were lying? Were they fed disinformation, or did they just make it up? And I'm frustrated because I had to overcome everything I learned from them before I could find the truth. And I found most of the truth doing my own tree.
That's because you chose to empty your own glass. We've been fed this glass is completely full of bullshit and information. Like, that's why I walked away in 2019 when COVID-19 happened. I stopped doing shows. Like, this is the first show I've done since 2019 on your show because I love you that much.
Thank you.
I need to return, but that's what happened to me. I got sick and tired of being lied to. I started seeing that people was getting outed here. This major person insider turned out he was a fucking liar. And then it's just like, I can't take this information anymore. I'm not going online. I'm doing deep diving into books. I'm not taking testimony anymore, except for you. I've watched your show pretty much exclusively, the only show I've watched.
Well, thank you.
I'm just realizing that you're the only show I've watched. That's crazy since 2019. Nothing else. Show-wise, testimony, you're the only one, period. But I just got to the same point. I'm like, I'm tired of being deceived. I'm tired of falling for misinformation, disinformation. I'm tired of these freaking assets working for the CIA. I have my own opinions about certain people that's still in this field. I know their assets. And it's obvious. And people worship these people. It's just like, you have to pay attention to symbolism.
I see people come forward and I might listen to them once, and some of them I don't even listen more than 10 minutes, and I know they're full of shit. If they come out with neuro-linguistic programming, that's the way they talk.
That's what Elena Danana is. She's schooled in NLP and like how to program the mind she talks to, and no one knows that about her.
I knew that the first minute I listened to her. I couldn't listen to her because that's what she was doing. Dr. Robert Duncan, who is the man behind V2K. He talks that way. So if you listen to them, they have this tone to their voice. It's very soft, it's very
Calming.
soothing, it's very calming. They are like they're talking you to sleep. If they're doing
They'll
that,
pause between thoughts as part of that. They'll say something and you're just holding your breath. You're like,
yeah, they
yeah,
keep
that's
you
NLP.
on the edge of your seat, but at the same time, they keep you relaxed. So you're not thinking about what they're saying, you're just absorbing it. Don't listen to those people.
One of the
That's not,
biggest manipulators to knowing it's NLP is they smile a lot. They'll smile and they do these waves of their hands. It's almost like it's a repetitive loop that they're producing with their body. And you get caught in that ebb and flow of that breath and you're freaking hypnotized.
yeah, that's what they're doing, is they're hypnotizing you with their voice. You don't listen to those people. If it's somebody who does channeling and they don't wear an EMF blocker cap, they're just listening to the CIA. Even if they think they're being honest, they're not. You know, if I want to listen to the CIA, I'll leave my cap off. I leave it off for interviews because I'm vain. I'm honest. But I do wear this thing when I'm not on air. So it's a nylon cap embedded with ground nickel, and it blocks the Wi-Fi. You make sure your ears are covered because that it works on the Wi-Fi works on the V2K on the Wi-Fi works on your middle ear bones. So you have to cover the access to those bones. Then you can think your thoughts in peace. I always thought I had this really active monkey mind until I put on that cap. 2016 was like instant Zen quiet. I had been doing all this work all along and thought I was failing miserably. Put the cap on. The Wi-Fi was gone. The V2K was gone. The constant chatter from the computer was gone. And I had Zen quiet and I could think my own thoughts in peace. It was shocking. And I tell people about it and they don't want to buy it. They don't want to wear it because it looks dorky. And I can understand that. But you want to listen to V2K for the rest of your life? I don't. So, yeah. What else do you watch for? You watch for people who say they don't have altars. All the real whistleblowers have altars, even if they're not aware of them. Now, I know Ileana says she doesn't. I have watched her shift on interviews that I've been on with her. So, yeah, I know she has them. That's why I keep
You talking
saying
about the Star Child, Ileana?
the Star Traveler. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
she,
she's definitely an SSPS that she has to have alters for not have to. There's nobody that is special that doesn't have alters if you're in these programs. It's just
right,
not how it works.
she claims she doesn't, but I've watched her shift, so I know she does. That's why I keep saying she's real. Uh, when
That's
she,
how you know when you talk to someone in the SSP because they shift on a regular basis and they get psychotic 0 to 100 out of nowhere, and it's hard for them to get back out of that altar. You're like, hey man, are you in an altar right now? Because right now I just triggered you and you're threatening me over a Zoom video and you were completely calm a while ago and now you're psychotic,
yeah,
you know?
uh, my former producer used to sit and count how many times I shifted in a 2-hour show.
I
My,
watch you go back and forth on a regular basis and you sometimes you'll catch yourself and have to apologize, but it's obvious.
Yeah, I
Kind of
think
like when you'll do a show and you don't realize you're doing a show and you think you're just talking to someone on the phone or the internet and you forget you're live doing a show. You're like, what? You've done
oh,
that a few times.
I,
I was
I
there live.
I had one that he was recording on another software, and I had not been told he was recording.
Hmm.
That's uncool. I make sure people know when I'm recording them. It's not cool to sneak that up on
I
somebody.
actually know who that was. Tell me later on, but I remember you telling that story and who it was, and you just like you started laughing. You're like, you were so embarrassed. You're like,
I was
something
hu-
happened,
I
and
was
you went down, and you're like, you pop up, you're like,
I
yeah,
al
I'm
I al
tired. I haven't been sleeping good. You started just
I
acting drowsy.
I almost left over that one. I almost walked out on him because that was so uncool. There have been, I think, 3 interviews that I thought about walking out. 4 of them. 4 of them. One was a lady in England that called me a Nazi the whole time, screamed at me. One was a man in Japan who, I think it was Japan, maybe South Korea, but he was in Asia. And when I said the word Mars, he turned off my mic for the rest of the show. um, the one where I was being recorded and I was live and was not told, that one. And then the one where a certain main interviewer um, I was in her head and she was thinking this was a mistake. This person is just a Nazi. And I commented on that during the interview, and she says, "You can't read my thoughts." Well, obviously I did. So I was in the process of, I was walking out, and Lou grabbed my shoulder and said, "Calm." So that one had 52,000 views when she deleted it. So yeah, but yeah, it's been 6 years and there have been 4 interviews that I wanted to walk out on. And it gets to the point where it's like, if the host isn't respecting you, why are you there?
And you know what? That happens to you so much. Like people will come off as genuine, and the moment they got you on the hot mic, they just attack you. Kind of like when I made jokes about Presidio Boy. I don't want to say his name, but we laughed about Presidio Boy. It's just like he acts a certain way when he's on mic, and then behind the scenes, he's a freaking psycho. You know what I'm saying?
You know, he was really nice to me when we were off air. He would sweet talk me. He would send me pictures of flowers. He would send me romantic shit. And then he would get me on air and he would be so sweet. And as soon as I was off, he would have to respin everything I said and make me sound like a crazy bitch. Now, I can deal with that. But when he put out a hit on a friend of mine on his show, that was too much.
Yeah, because like that dude's really connected with a very specific group, and like you
You
don't mess with
just,
those people.
yeah, it's like you don't put out a hit on air ever, and you don't put out a hit on a nice guy that just happened to call a private investigator because you're lying. So, anyway, I knew he was lying. Um, Sorry, guys, I was on his show anyway. Mr. Darrell thought that it would be good for my career, and Mr. Darrell was my boss. So, folks never, I don't think folks ever realized that Daryl was my boss, that he owned the network.
Yeah, because I think most of the people that know you and your show always thought he was just the producer and he was just the sound guy. And then towards the end, it's like he started exerting more position. And I noticed how you wouldn't fight him. So I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what's going on behind the scenes, man?
What's going on behind the scenes was his mother verified me. His mother was CIA. His mother got into a lot of trouble for that.
I can't believe even Doris even said that, because even I understand that she's no longer, well, you never really leave that group, but her age would, let you know that she's not with them anymore. But like talking about that, like that's
Yeah,
very hardcore
she
stuff.
did she did 3 interviews with me. One of them she talked about her stuff. The other 2 she was trying to verify me. And then I didn't hear from her for a long time. And then their house burned down while I was in surgery. And that destroyed all the files that she had.
And you found out who did it specifically, right? Like the person, because they were threatening and said they would do it, right?
There was a man who took credit for it, but it turned out he didn't do it.
Okay, thank you for saying that, because you've never said that. My opinion only was, I believe that they burnt Doris's house down because of what she was saying and how she admitted towards the Montauk round table what was going on. And then like I've always wondered how people can have these files on people in these groups legally. What's going on?
She didn't have them legally. No.
That's my point. So when
She
she admitted she had these files and stuff, I was just like, oh my God, you can't admit that online. Like something's going to freaking happen. And then
yeah,
Boomer House burns down. I was like, oh my God.
yeah, the guy that took credit for it, he didn't have the details right.
Because my opinion was they didn't just burn the house down. I believe they sent a team in, got those freaking files, and made it look like it was a damn arson case. I don't know why I think that, but that's what I feel.
It's real possible. I don't know exactly what happened, but the guy that took credit for it didn't have the details right, because Daryl showed me the fire report, and what the guy said didn't match where the fire started. So he could not possibly have done it based on the story he gave. So he accidentally cleared himself. And I don't want anything to do with him. I won't even mention his name. We, in the Montauk groups, we refer to him as he who shall not be named.
It's kind of like John McCain. Like you don't ever call him John McCain. We call him No Name.
Yeah. He who shall not be named threatened me and said he never wanted to hear his name from my mouth. And so he is he who shall not be named.
You're
But
like, now you're nobody, man.
yeah,
Now no one cares to know your name. You're officially nobody.
you're officially nobody. You have been excluded from the Montauk roundtables because you're an ass. Not because you're a fake, but because you're an ass.
He was on a round table with the Montauk stuff.
Yeah, 2014 or so.
Oh, I was like the recent Montauk stuff. I'm like, what?
No, not my stuff.
I
We
can name every single person on that Montauk show. So I mean, I followed their
Yeah,
story
well, we're going to be
big
having
time.
we're going to have a part 2 in first part of March.
I can't wait for that. That was a good long show. It should be longer. Like you're always trying to make it super short for like viewership's sake, but I like a 4 hour show.
Well, we're going to do a 3-hour show. The next one, we're doing the 10 minutes each and a couple of questions. It's more people, specifically more women, because the first one we had to prove there were women there, because all the women had been told they were fake, that it was only men. And so once we established out of Preston Nichols' own mouth that there had been women, now we have more of them willing to talk, but not alone. So it's like you have to cluster them. I may eventually end up having to do one of just the women,
I
because,
have a couple of people I have in mind I would like to send to you that was in it. And I've
okay,
always kept them out of my mouth with anybody I talk to professionally just to respect them. But I would ask them if they would like to talk to you. That would be cool.
if they want to talk to me, they don't have to show their face and they can use a fake name. What we want is the testimonies, because we want this to be at a level where if there are one-day tribunals, that these can be used as testimony. Because frankly, some of us are getting old. I've already watched 2 generations of whistleblowers die. Yes, people, there were SSP and super soldier folks before this century.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was talking about it in his famous Mars movie. It was about the SSP program, and no one seemed to catch that's what it was about. He got all these recall memories, and you turned out he's like in the SSP program, and he's one of the bad guys. And because
Yeah.
he betrayed somebody, they cut his memories off. It's like they've been talking about this since at least the 80s. It's right there in your face.
It's been in your face because these programs actually started around the Civil War, the ones run by humans. So it's been a long time. We're looking at almost 200 years of humans running these programs. And everybody wants to start with World War II. That's too late in the story. It starts back when the United States, Prussia, and Tsarist Russia were in an alliance together, and the 3 nations were building the technology that became the German space program.
That's what I have to tell people about the Germans is like everybody always calls them the Nazis. I'm
Yeah,
like, come on, you can call them the Nazis when World War II happened. They're a completely breakaway society from that limited movement that was on Earth. You know what I'm
thank
saying?
you. I have people in the community who can't wrap their mind around that. They just can't. And it's completely propaganda. The German people had a political party during World War II
It was
that,
like 20 years and that was it. And now they're forever
yeah,
Nazis.
yeah, it's like calling Americans Democrats. That we're all Democrats. They weren't even all Nazis then. They were just the folks in power. And
It's kind of like the Hitler salute is like what they like to call it. It wasn't even Hitler's. It was a German thing before the damn wars happened. Like that was a part of the German.
Americans did that before World War II. That was the way, that was the ancient Roman salute from thousands of years ago. And people are too ignorant to know that because they don't look at anything beyond. I mean, you try to post something intelligent, if it's more than 2 weeks old, nobody wants to read it. That's the limit of their imagination. 2 weeks. You try to post something from 2,000 years ago, nobody wants to touch it. Well, they do on my wall now because I've done a bunch of stuff that where I really embarrassed them when they didn't. Didn't I? I mean, here on my wall, you've seen where I posted my family tree and I posted pictures of
You've
castles.
posted numerous. family trees and numerous amounts of voluminous evidence.
I've posted pictures of the castles that my family used to own, and actually cousins still own. And it's, I've gone through and evidence after evidence after evidence after evidence. I've posted clips from whistleblowers from as early as the 1940s. I don't know. It was it was the 40s when Admiral Byrd spoke before Congress. So yeah, I've posted evidence, articles, all kinds of things going back to the 1940s. And so I'm like, dude, history matters.
It's kind
History
of like
matters.
Admiral Byrd told Congress that not only is there openings at the North Pole, that the Earth is hollow and we've seen it with our own eyes, and we can fly our damn airplanes into this opening at the North Pole and go down in there. And you tell that to people today, they're like, you're a flat earther. You're a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, have you done any research ever in your life? Ever? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I do. It's there are days it's hitting my head against a brick wall. The ignorance is so thick.
And it's easy to find out the untruth because all you do is the farther you go back, you see where the information starts. It just starts out of nowhere. And if there's no history or if it wasn't written down in any way or even talked about orally by any groups and it just comes out of nowhere, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's automatic cognitive dissonance. That's what the world is.
Well,
It's cognitive dissonance. You try to show all this evidence and they won't believe you. You say, you found that on the internet, or that's a psyop. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on.
flat Earth is a psyop in the United States, but it came from Islam. And it's part of the Quran.
And the funny thing is, their main evidence is they post photos of an ice wall in Antarctica, right? They're like, there's the ice wall. I'm like, can you see the top of that ice wall? It's called an ice shelf. That means there's land past that wall, okay? Have you ever thought about climbing the damn wall like they do on Game of Thrones with the walkers? Like, go over it.
Eric Hecker, okay, he paid for Lou and I to go to his house.
I heard about that. You stayed with him.
We stayed with him for a week, and he had 2 banker's boxes full of documents from when he was in the Navy as a submariner, when he was in the South Pole Station that was ran by Raytheon then. He has
Yeah, he
photographs.
did all their plumbing. Like, that's pretty good. That's an insider. If you are in control of all the plumbing, you get to all the classified levels to do that plumbing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The
He had,
janitor has the highest security clearance out of everybody, if you think about like that. Like, you know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh, I know. I used to be a janitor. When Lou and I got together, the janitor and the security guard are having an affair, and the owners were like, do we want to allow this? Because those are the 2 people that have access to everything. Yeah, seriously. So yeah, janitors matter. Plumbers matter. Blue collar people matter. And he did this, and I'm going through all of his documents. Yes, he has pay stubs. Yeah, he has all the pay stubs from the full time he was in the Navy, from the full time he was in South Pole Station, and from whatever work he's been doing in Alaska. He's got all the stuff. He's got documents. He's got the stuff from when he was trained. He's got descriptions of all the programs that he had to do the plumbing on, and it's all there in black and white. And he's got a DD 214 from when he was in the Navy,
Which
and
most people cannot provide that single piece of document right there.
he's got 2 banker's boxes full, and people tell him he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, you know, it's insane the crap that people tell us. Oh yeah, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, he worked there. He's a whistleblower. People don't even understand what that word means.
You know, these days when you say the word whistleblower, you'll see people scowl or wince. You're like, I tell them I do all these shows where there's insiders and whistleblowers, and they're like, a whistleblower. I'm like, do you know what a whistleblower is?
It's
You know
an
what I'm saying?
insider that says what my company did was wrong.
And a lot of times they provide something called facts and evidence, exculpatory evidence, and you still call them a damn conspiracy theorist. I'm like, are you kidding?
They're stupid. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be insulting, but they're stupid.
Those
They
kind of people I just don't talk to. If I try to educate someone on something, it's because I know facts and evidence. Like I've been writing a book for about 2.5 years. I'm gonna call this a 10-year book because it's freaking
yeah,
massive.
mine's a 10-year book because I made a mistake. Okay. I understand that most of my fan base were Trump followers. Okay. I understand that most of my fan base operated about 4th to 6th grade level. So I aimed the writing at 6th grade level because I'm sorry, I can't dumb it down any further than that. And I'm still putting in scholarly footnotes for the people who can follow that. And I read it, and the discrepancy is too much. So I'm going through and editing, and I'm looking at this and going, I have to bring it up to at least 8th grade. I do. So I'm going to have to do a rewrite.
That's how you got to do it, man. You got to describe it like they're a child. I mean, that's unfortunately the world we're in.
I
And that
can.
makes you a good describer too, because if you can relate to a child and tell them about the SSP program and about space in a way a child would understand it, that means you have the ability to connect with anyone. So that's a skill, believe it or not.
Oh,
Even
I
though
know
you feel kind of like you having to dumb down your own stuff, it's beneath you. But like, unfortunately,
it's not that it's beneath me, it's that it's hard.
well,
It's
not everybody has
real,
taken their first step. You know what I'm saying?
it's really hard to take technical information and write it at that level. It's hard. And the people are like, well, when are you going to have your book? When are you going to have your book? It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
The first book, they always say the first book's the hardest because it's like everything you write down is just like, yes, it's going to be part of a book, but like technically it's not a book yet. It doesn't even look like a book. It looks like a bunch of information that I'm trying to make and coalesce into a book. And that's the hardest part.
I have one that's been in progress for a long time. And I have a second one where I'm kind of just telling the stories of each of the altars that I've reintegrated. So I know their stories as far as I know them.
You're in the 30s out of 2,200, right? 36. How many altars have you recovered?
32 out of
32.
2,200. So I'm looking at these and telling the stories. There's 2 of them I can't share because those will frankly get me killed. And the public doesn't understand that. They think, well, you're public, you don't have any privacy anymore.
Yeah, but they told that to Max Spears, and look what happened to Max. You know what I'm saying? But we know exactly what happened to Max, and the people that were at the round table, they admitted, you know. That's why I follow your guys so intimately, because if I can look the person into the face that killed somebody that I cared about, obviously I never met Max Spears, right? But like, you
Yeah.
follow someone for so long, you connect with that person emotionally.
Now, I want you to think about the person who said that he killed Max Spears was an
Yeah.
alter.
Hmm. And I remember the exact name of that altar as well. I
Okay.
asked him for the activation code that he gave Max's girlfriend, and he didn't give me the code. But I understand why he didn't give me the code. It's about a certain level of respect, you know.
Yeah.
I've been following him
Especially when
since the
it's
beginning.
especially since it's somebody else's activation code.
Yeah.
If it were his own, he might have told. But that's what one of the things that folks need to understand is the human here and now who's living his life, is married, has kids, has a job, takes time out of that job and his life to talk to us.
And I love and respect him for doing that despite, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I
Yeah,
look at him,
that's
I see him as a regular person. You know what I'm saying?
he's a regular guy, and I actually like him a lot. But those alters, some of them are fucking assholes.
Let's just call that altar capital J. That altar is pretty freaking hardcore.
That one is not his worst. Pindar is a bastard.
I haven't heard about that one.
Pindar is the one I blew up his head.
Okay, yeah, he was your commander.
Pindar is a bastard. If
Yeah,
it
and then they punish you by putting you out the damn airlock and then regenning your ass back.
and then
And
putting me back out again over and over and over until it
well, they
became
can't kill you. They just say, we're gonna kill you this one freaking time for blowing his freaking head off, but don't ever do that shit again.
um Pindar isn't like that. Pindar is a bastard on a good day.
Hmm. Well, I do like what he did when he actually overturned Montauk and helped rescue some people. I can definitely back someone who actually helped
Yeah,
people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I love that dude.
Joseph himself is a good guy. Pindar's a bastard. Uh, Jay, as you call him, he's difficult. He's got another couple of them out there that seem to be nice guys, but
Overall, everything you've told me about him, he seems like he's a pretty normal, nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Like a
yeah,
genuine person. Because he
he,
helped you with some certain things as well, and that was pretty awesome.
yeah. At the conference where the guy was calling me a demon, Joe was pretty supportive. And at the one where the guy said that he was there for my blood, Joe made sure he was between me and him. And I fell after that. We were in this panel, and then I gave a presentation, and I stood for it, and my hips freeze up. And so we were using my walker as a wheelchair. By the way, that's not a good thing. It's not safe. The wheels on a walker are too small. So when you hit a bump, you fall. And because you're being pushed backwards, you fall on the back of your head. So I ended up with a concussion the last day of the conference. So, like you said, I don't come out of these healthy. I come out of these with problems, serious problems.
Speaking of problems, did they recover the audio from that show? Because I remember part of the y'all did that round table together, everybody talking, like the audio, there was no audio for it.
I got the DVDs. I paid for the DVDs. And out of all of them, I was able to get the audio only from one presentation, and I have it uploaded on my Patreon.
Because when I met James a couple months ago at one of these shows, he was unaware that a lot of the recordings weren't actually working, and he was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, I thought you would
Yeah.
have known."
You don't know unless you test them out. I had 4 discs, and one of them had the first half of my presentation, and a different one had the second half, and a third one had the visual without the audio. It's like, and then, the others had something that I did 3 years ago. They didn't even have from that conference. So, and I told,
Freaking Biomed Expo.
I did contact them to let them know. So whether they fixed them or not, I don't know. They haven't sent me good ones. But yeah, I have the combined audio from that presentation on Patreon. For the folks that are out there, I don't charge a lot for my Patreon. I have it set for the bare minimum. I'm not trying to get rich. I have the Patreon there for people who want to support my work.
That's why I support you on Patreon.
I'm not, I had a lot of people who wanted to send me money, and they want to send it for like 2 or 3 months and then stop. And I don't count on it for my living expenses. When I have it, I use it to do things like pay my internet. And I'm not begging for money all the time. It's like, I mostly pay for this.
I've never heard you do that ever.
The only time I ask for money is whenever I have a real need, like when my car broke down.
Yeah, the transmission issue.
Yeah, we got that fixed. I put on my Facebook wall that my car broke down, and that I would appreciate any help people could send me. And within a week, I had all the money I needed for it, and I thanked everybody. And I told them that we got the car fixed, and I haven't asked for anything else. I'm not
I don't
trying.
think you've really asked for anything since I've known you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you pretty much all this, you and Lou do all this on your own, despite all the odds against you.
Well, he's on Social Security. I was on Social Security disability until last year. Now I'm on retirement. And he gets paid by the county for taking care of me. So between us, we have enough money to live decently. We are simple country folk. We don't require a lot. And my biggest vice is buying books.
That's mine too. Actually, plants. Sister Rose said that if you have garden and a books, that's all you need. So like, that's
Yeah.
been my life story. Like, all the money I spend the most on is freaking books, and a lot of those things are signed. So like, you got to go to places in
Awesome.
person to get them signed. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. I've had people send me their books. Usually, if I'm going to interview an author, they'll send me their book, but about half the time it's a PDF copy, which is fine with me.
Speaking of PDFs, thank you for all the PDFs you've sent me. Like you was talking about magic earlier. I'm not supposed to admit that. That's one of the rules. Anyways, some of the stuff I'm looking into was because of you, so I definitely appreciate that. Because your PDF list, holy crap, the stuff you shared to me, oh my god, it's pretty impressive, man.
When I was first out there, after my memories were activated, I was added to this group. And the founding admin was a meritocratist. And he was looking for people to add to his, they said, Illuminati group, because meritocratists are Illuminati. And he had this test that he was giving people. And it was a medieval etching with Hermes
Trismegistus.
Can't say that word, thank you.
I like to just call him Thoth because that's what the Greeks called him. That was their name.
Well, he was medieval. So it was Hermes. And there was all this symbolism in it. And he was asking people what they saw in it. You know, simple, can you read the symbolism? And I got tired of the stupid answers people were giving. So I was basically in a spite mood. You know, I get that way once in a while. And I go through plump, 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 plump. And he goes, you want to join my club, basically. And I go, how many people do you want to kill? And he says, anybody below 140 IQ. And I said, no, thanks. I'm not into mass murder. You know, anybody who really knows me knows that I'm not into mass murder. And he says, well, I have some books I would like to give you. And when you've read them, I'm sure you'll change your mind.
I know you're laughing. You're like, there's no way I'm joining this group.
I didn't join his group, no.
Yeah, some of the stuff I've read, I'm careful with the stuff I read, even if it's spells. I will purposely skip sentences and not look at words just because subconsciously I'll be reading it.
Read about half of the stuff he gave me. It was 0.5 terabyte of PDFs. 0.5 terabyte. Fiction, philosophy, magic, history. 0.5 terabyte. And I've taken the ones that people are most interested in, and I put them on my Google Drive, and I do pay for it. And when people are interested in something, I just give them access to the file. You know,
that's what I like about you, man, because like you're the librarian. Like you want to awaken people. You literally go out of your way so many times to give people free information that I feel like it's almost like me. Like you do it for nothing. You do it because you only want to awaken people. And it's so much freaking effort for you to do it. And I see it constantly. I see the constant stuff you post and the stuff you research. And then you put all that material just one after another. I'm like, you know how much it takes for a person to do this? Like that's inspiring.
Yeah, well, I know what I do. I know what I do. But that 0.5 terabyte of PDFs came to me for free. And it's like the books want to be shared.
Yeah, and a lot of those books are banned books, or they don't even exist in the physical form, or they do, but it's classified and you can't even get them. And it's just like if you even attempt to look up the name of that book, you get flagged. But then I can just go to Penny's PDF Google Drive. I'll be like, I get to read this for free. Thanks, Penny.
Some of those books I've tried to find them as physical hardbound books, and you're talking $600 to $1,000 a piece.
Yeah, I have some original editions up here on this shelf, and they are crazy expensive. I don't even like to talk about them because, like, if I ever lost them, I don't know what I would do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even have original Eric von Daniken first edition books from the 1960s, first edition.
I have one of those, but I haven't I haven't taken good care of it over the years, and I've moved too many times, and the cover is trashed, but it's still an original, and it's like,
Yeah, you told me that. I had mentioned that I found the Jim Mars books at Goodwill, and I told you, I said I seen
yeah,
a book on the shelf that said Jim Mars. I'm like, I have to look and see if it's signed. I don't know why I look. Now these days I look just to see if it's signed. And something told me that Jim signed this freaking book. I actually have it over there. And like, I open it up, it's signed by Jim Mars. I was like, oh my God, I get this book for $1.68. Holy crap. Like, it's
yes.
freaking Mars, he's dead. Like, oh my God, yes. That's amazing.
Jim Mars and I were Facebook friends before he died. That was my profile that Facebook deleted. I got into trouble sharing real history to a society. So, yeah.
Yeah, they YouTube deleted, they straight up deplatformed me with no warning, no strikes. I couldn't appeal it. They wouldn't respond to messages. That happened around 2018.
Yeah,
that was the height of me doing interviews, and everything was stored on YouTube. And when they just
you
deleted my
didn't keep
account,
copies?
I have originals on a computer that I put my hand through on accident while I was freaking moving 3 months ago, man. Through my screen, through the hard drive. And when I did it, I couldn't believe it because my whole life is on that computer. Every country I've ever been to, everything I've ever done is stored on that computer.
You know what? Sometimes you can take it to a repair shop and they can copy, duplicate your storage drive.
I'm hoping, man, because like when it happened, I'm like, that is my
The
whole
guy,
freaking life.
the guy here in my county doesn't like me, and he gives me a hard time when he sees me come through the door, because he knows that I do my own work, and when I come in, it's going to be hard. He told me I didn't need a server, that I just needed an external hard drive. I bought a server. Lou keeps nagging him to go help me, to come help me set it up. He hasn't shown up yet because he doesn't want to work with me.
Mm.
So,
Well, I mean, didn't you even say that you tried to access some files and they deleted your stuff on one of those hard drives because you tried
oh
to
my
access a
God.
file?
Yes,
Like fried it?
there is a program, a project that the former Attorney General under Obama, and I'm not even going to say his name, when he was at the FBI, he was the lead on this project. And it was involved with Waco and Ruby Ridge and
I remember you talking about that.
the Oklahoma City bombing. And I got the official name of the program. Official name of the program. Do you know how hard that is to find? I typed it into Google. Project blank, not saying it. Hit enter. Had to replace the computer. Whole thing fried. I lost everything on that.
And
So,
a lot of people don't believe that that's even real. I'm like, dude, they showed it on WikiLeaks. Like when I went through WikiLeaks master file, I already know I'm classified as a right-wing terrorist for even accessing WikiLeaks, so I don't even care. But like the evidence I saw and the videos I saw and the crimes I saw, you can't unsee that shit. And
no,
like
yeah,
all these programs, I've seen so many programs that were conspiracy theory. Turns out they were a conspiracy fact
of
in
course
real.
they're fact.
So it freaks me out sometimes, like when you say, why don't you just get this back up, blah, blah, blah. Even if I do and I put all my eggs in one basket. All they got to do is the moment I plug it in to even transfer information, they can fry it. So
Yep.
I've been between a rock and a hard place since I was deplatformed. Currently, I'm shadow banned on Instagram and Facebook. I got like 13,000 followers on Instagram and like less than 20 people see my stuff.
I
That's
don't
insane.
go to Instagram, and I have pages on Facebook. I do one that's it's a news magazine for women, Truth Beckons, and it's got my heart. But I'm really on Facebook for the groups I admin, because those people have trusted me with their stories. Those people have trusted me with their lives. Those people matter. And I don't give a shit. As long as I'm allowed on, I will be involved with those people. And they're the only reason I'm on Facebook. Facebook permabanned me. And every once in a while they send me some sort of a notice that people who have been permabanned don't have their permission to be on the platform. So I know eventually they're going to dump my ass again. I'm also on MeWe. YouTube, I have worked my ass off to follow their rules. And they started around Halloween to delete my work. So far, they've only deleted 3. But I've watched other channels go the way of yours. And so I know the writing's on the wall. So I started with Rumble. Rumble has a scale based on how much of their memory you're using for storage. 3 more videos, and I'm in the $100 a month category.
That's crazy expensive for the average person, man. Like
I
that's
don't get enough money on Patreon to cover it. So that can't happen. I can't afford that. So a friend of mine suggested Odyssey, and their blockchain, which means they can't be deleted unless the whole server goes down. And they have a couple of servers to make sure that doesn't happen. And so I'm looking at that and going, okay. And they have this crazy crypto thing. Frankly, I can't figure it out, but they do give me credits for everyone who signs up for it. So at this point, I can upload probably through the end of the year and not have any issues with the money part. But yeah, it's they don't seem to be interested in censoring either, because looking at some of the other channels. So I'm relaxing a little bit. I don't panic every time somebody says the C word, which I did before when it was going up on YouTube.
that's actually the name of the chapter in my book for the C word. It's called the C word.
Yeah. So, it's funny, I can say fuck, but I can't say that. The censorship is insane.
Hey,
And
it's the new Reichstag, man. Instead of burning books, they're burning digital ones and zeros.
censorship, burning books is the same, whether it's paperbacks, whether it's ones and zeros, whether it's, scrolls. Burning books is a sign of repression and ignorance and a dark age. And that's another reason why I share the magic books, is because they tend to be the first thing that's burned. Magic is the way that you can influence reality through nothing more than your own mind, your own chi. And if they are going to be in total control, they have to stop that. And that's why magic is the first thing to go. Magic and religion other than their own. And usually they control access to their own holy books while they're at it, because they don't want the masses to know how far off they are from what their religion actually teaches. That was the start of the Reformation, was even the priests got fed up with the corruption. And by that point, they had printing presses. They could give the Bible to the masses. So historically, giving the truth to the masses is how you protect freedom. And that's why they're censoring us. They want us to be good little birds with our mouths open and swallow whatever they feed us. Come on, guys, don't let this happen. I'm an old woman. Odds are I have no more than 2 more decades in me on a good day. Don't let this happen to my grandkids.
And that's the whole point of your testimony, is to make sure this doesn't happen to your grandkids. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my testimony is more about those kids that are in today's version of the Langley base where I was mind fractured. Because it's ongoing. And I've had people tell me it wasn't. But I've also had phone calls from families. My 4-year-old refuses to go back to sleep because he doesn't want to go back into space. I told them, do one exorcism, just one. Hope to God it's a demon, because if it's the CIA, there is no hope. They were shocked. I mean, what am I supposed to say? The CIA has the technology to come into your home, take you, return you to within 5 minutes of when they took you. If they get it close enough, your brain won't even register that you're gone. They can do anything they want to you for as long as they want while they have you. There are people that have been taken 20 years, 40 years. They take me for 60 years at a time and bring me back to within 5 minutes of when they took me. Over and over and over and over and over. And they put everybody in the house to sleep, including my cats. They probably put the people in the next apartment over to sleep.
I was gonna say that, just people just living around you. I wonder how many times they've been deneuralized. You know what I'm saying?
I have trouble keeping neighbors in the next apartment. They reach about, what is it, about 3-4 years? At most, and then they move on. It's something unnerving about the apartment. Probably that I'm being abducted.
Or probably directed energy weapons is hitting them too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's possible. There's one in the wall. We left it.
I remember you said that one.
It's connected into the fuse box, and it uses the power motor out of a microwave oven, and it's directed directly here, and we have a piece of metal over it to block it. We figured if we take it out, they're just going to put in another one. As long as they think it's there and it's functioning, they're going to leave it alone.
You know what kind of technology it is? Like what it's based on?
It's a maser.
Hmm.
M-A-S-E-R. And
I
I've
was
been
thinking of what technologies you can probably try to utilize to reverse the beam backwards.
we just blocked it with a big chunk of aluminum on a piece of wood. The wood holds it in place. I mean, I understand the technology well enough to know that a big chunk of metal is just going to stop it. So we blocked it, barrier. I mean, this is funny because the military was using EM weapons in Afghanistan against the Taliban.
Yeah, that's the day they basically dropped all their weapons and they went down to bow
Oh
to a
no,
god
that
didn't.
was in Iraq. They were using EM weapons in Afghanistan.
Are you talking
And
about the ones where they forced them all to submit?
no, I'm talking about the ones where they were using basically masers on the Taliban. And the
Mm.
Taliban came out wrapped in aluminum foil. They looked like giant walking potatoes. And the masers didn't work because the aluminum blocked it. They
Wow.
had they had to take their $100,000 maser machine home because it wouldn't work there because they knew how to block it. Do Americans know how to block it? The first time they pull one of those things into a city and use it against the ghetto, are they going to know how to block this? Come on. The Taliban did because they paid attention to what was being developed, what was being used in their neighboring countries. So, very simple. We need to start teaching our people. And by our people, I mean those everywhere who want freedom, real freedom, not fascism wrapped in a flag. Okay, we need to start teaching them how to defend themselves from these things because they're going to be used against the public if they're not already.
I already believe they've been used for a long time. They're
I
using them
think
on the embassies. They're using them all kinds of stuff.
oh yeah, they've been using them on the embassies since the 1960s. But you have to think about in terms of what can common people do to defend themselves. Because last week, Julie Phelps was on my show, and she talked about that they're making zones in British cities where you are basically trapped in your zone and not allowed to leave more than 3 or 4 times a year without permission. That you get outrageous fines if you leave your zone, and that a single city might have as many as 8 zones. You can't even go across town. Why are the Brits allowing this?
Look who's controlling the Brits.
Yeah, Charles. So, why are we allowing some of the things that are going on here? The lockdowns, the outrageous fees for food now. In my area, we had 20 years of drought, and they let the levees lapse. They
You know what's
stopped.
funny about California and these droughts? Number one, we all know about HARP. They
Uh-huh.
can just activate the technology to make it rain every day in California and not have a single drought, right? But they never
Yeah,
seem to do that. Like all these worldwide droughts, we have the technology for it. They've admitted it since Operation Popeye, for Christ's sake. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, we
I
made it rain
know.
for 3 months straight in Vietnam. They even put it in the movie Forrest Gump. He's like, one day it just started raining and it didn't stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, we had that in the 1960s. What made you think 60 years from then we still don't have that technology? Come on, man.
I know the drought is man-made. Okay. I also know that the year or two they let it rain, there's a dam that floods out, there's a levee that breaks, there's flooding, instant destruction. And then the rest of the country is like, well, if you didn't let the water go to save the smelt, you wouldn't have these problems. It makes me want to slap people. Okay. So what we have are people who only care about animals, and on the other side, we have people who only care about money, and in between, you've got the rest of us wanting to slap them both. So currently, we have someone in the governor's office who only cares about animals, and we've tried recalling him twice.
I'm surprised he even is still the governor. Like, it blew me away how he was reelected. If that wasn't implantation again, like everybody knows that Gavin Newsom is Pelosi's nephew. Like,
Yeah,
come
I
on,
know.
man. Come on. Pelosi's family partially owns the state of California, one of the four
Yeah,
families that own a state inside the United States. Most people think that the United States is owned by the government or the people. Nope. Every state is bought and paid for by families, and they have a
well,
say in it. It's crazy.
thank you. But what we here think is going on is 2013, the US government defaulted on the payment to the Fed. That means they defaulted on the loans to China. China wants California and Nevada as payment. So the
That is very real. They can legally do that. That's how
yes,
loans work. That's how other countries annex other parts of countries, and that's why you give away
yes,
your country to another country. Because you take these
yes,
loans, if you can't pay them, we'll take your country by law, international law.
yes. Now, that's why we have this irritation dance going on over Taiwan, is
Yeah.
because America defaulted on their loans and we're still acting like we're kick-ass. Okay. China wants California and Nevada. So far, America has said no, but they're using this weather weapon to destroy California and Nevada. They're going through this cycle of drought and then flood, drought and then flood, drought and then flood. We have water rationing in the law. Even on a good year, we have to ration water. We are allowed 50 gallons of water per day per person. That,
What are we in World War III?
that's what's going on, yes. I've been trying to tell people that that's
They're
what's
rationing
going on.
electricity. Newsom's like, oh, by the way, we're trying to go full electric with the cars, but hey, this winter put so much strain on the electrical grid that we're going to have to ask everybody with electric cars to stop using their electric cars. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There
It's
was no infrastructure.
it's It is the California version of city zones. They don't want us traveling at all. That's the bottom line. They
Hell,
can't.
California was trying to act penalties against people who were trying to leave the state.
Yeah.
As if they can even do that. Like, come on, everything that Gavin tried to make into law was overturned by state courts or Supreme Court. You know, it's just like, come on. It's New York is a prototype, it's a prototype state for the Illuminati. They want all states to replicate this prototype
Yeah.
and have this lawlessness. There is
Now,
no
what we've got is we've got a coastal strip of liberals, and everybody east of I-5 is conservative. And we have been fighting each other my whole life. By the way, I live in the red half. So all you people out there that want all of us to fall into the ocean, sorry. You know, it's not a good plan, because if you get rid of all of us, you get rid of the ones that have some common sense too. But you've got these coastal cities that are dependent on Silicon Valley. Well, Silicon Valley didn't keep up with the tech. Taiwan did. So now we're fighting with China over Taiwan's chips. And the main company there is trying to build a chip factory in Arizona. So if they get that through, then I'll bet you we let China have Taiwan. And in the meantime, we've got this mess going in Ukraine where NATO keeps poking the Russian bear. And yes, that's what started it, was NATO was pushing the Russian bear. And everybody wants to say it was all Putin, but it wasn't. If you paid attention, it started in 2014 with Obama pushing the bear, and they've been pushing ever since. You froze. Okay, so what happened?
okay, that was extremely weird. You were talking, and then something just electromagnetic zapped my house. Everything went dark, everything reset, and it popped back on, and there's no internet. I'm like, I had a feeling that they would try to end this show.
Lou's laughing.
I know it happens to you so much, but for me to experience, I just started laughing. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And when it zapped, I actually felt it. It was just like, boom. It wasn't like a transformer blowing. It was like I've never experienced it before. It was just like,
Welcome to my world.
my heart's pounding. It actually felt like it. I felt the energy, and it just went dark. And I'm like, Penny, maybe you're still talking, but
Oh, I figured out
everything's dark.
eventually that you froze. So I took off the recording and just sort of smoosh it together.
What I love about recording in advance, you can just be like, oh, let me just connect it right here and make it seamless.
Yeah.
Well, that was interesting. Yeah, we were talking about California and Gavin Newsom and the rain, and then I don't know what happened.
Well, we've had a couple of weeks to dry out, and then we had a rainstorm go through, and it was short, and so I don't think there's been any flooding this time. I sincerely hope that we end up with, a couple more storms a month until the end of the season. Usually we don't get any more rain after April. So, and if we do, it messes with the trees. Oak trees, if you water our oak trees. If you water them in the summer, they get root rot. So, you know,
Must be another show and then Thursday.
so we had one, I think it was Sunday. And we're supposed to have another one Thursday, so that's not too bad. Yes, our back door is one of those sliders and it screeches. The good news is we know if somebody's breaking in. The bad news is Lou going back and forth makes noise.
I think the only thing I would have to, I got birds. You might hear them going, mark, mark, mark.
I have 2 cats, but they usually stay out of the show.
Kazoo, see there?
Kazoo and Frankie, and they're
That's
both
awesome.
girls. Frankie's over there being wild.
I've got to shut my doors or my cats will infiltrate this awesome video we have going on. You know how cats are, they want to jump on your keyboard and join into the Zoom.
Mine don't like the Zoom. They don't like, I've got a big circle light and they don't like that.
Mm.
Oh, I have a new coffee cup and I don't get to use it on air.
You know what's funny? I found an Empire. It's just a black coffee cup with just the Empire symbol on it. And it's just like, Penny would really love this. Because I can just see her, because you tell the stories about when Star Wars came out, how everybody's voting for like the rebels, and you're like, nah, we're the other side. Like,
Oh,
I can just see you sipping your Empire coffee.
We got the bootleg copies out there. And the Empire was so much like Nacht Waffen that we rooted for them. It wasn't here. Here I voted for the rebels because I understood freedom versus fascism. But out there, we supported the Empire because they were, hell, they had our uniforms.
And the funny thing is, every time I see Star Wars, I only see Nacht Waffen now. It's just like I see the German space program and I seen the German uniforms and I seen the structure and the hierarchies and the attitudes. It's just like, dude,
and
you not realize that is literally the German space program and like the real SSP. Come on, man.
Yeah. Schwarz is on there. We're very much like Darth Vader. Not as emotional, but yeah, very much like Darth Vader. That's something that I've had to come to terms with, was that even though it made me logical like Vulcans, that because it heightened my psi abilities, that it basically turned me into a Darth. And it was like, okay.
And then the Swartzasana Black Sun, like it's all over the Star Wars. It's everywhere. It's like the symbolism is there everywhere, and it blows me away. People can't see like their symbols, and it's on everything. It's just like it's overtly in your face.
Of course it is. They tell the truth in these things. They just do it with a fictional plot, and that isn't even that fictional. It's just the names are changed to protect the guilty. All of these movies, they will take some factoid and make a story around it.
Yeah, but that's part of the religion, isn't to tell the truth in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, science fiction to me is really science fact. Anything they say is like science fiction and fiction, and like all these technologies are basically showing you what actually exists.
Lou cracks up at me because I'll watch something and I'm like, I do not consent. I'm sitting here, I'm watching something. I do not consent. I'm sitting here reading something. I do not consent. And he's like, really? Really? Yeah, I know the rules. You don't want to live it, you have to say, I do not consent.
I literally say that out loud
Yeah, I do.
sometimes. And
I
telepathically, I'm telling them right now, I do not consent to any control or any manipulation, any kind of directed energy weapon at me, like all that. I do not consent. I am sovereign. My energy is separate from your control, and you're breaking galactic laws in order to enforce this. Like, I do not consent. Like, that's the name of one of my chapters as well. I do not comply. I do not consent. That's really important. People need to learn that.
That's something that I've had trouble with people arguing with me about every time I brought it up. Well, that's not the way I believe it. Well, sorry, you don't have to believe it. They do believe it, and they are using it against you. You know, at some point, you have to learn that what you think is right almost doesn't matter when you're dealing with mages. What matters is what do they believe and how do you fight that? And that's a
That's
very,
why I'm diving in forbidden knowledge right now. You specifically in that book. That's the book I'm on now.
if you don't fight them on their own turf, then they will automatically win. And you won't like it. And convincing, especially Christians, of that. Well, I can just plead the blood on it. Well, maybe that works in your church. But it's not going to work with these guys. Well, how do you know? Because I've been fighting them for a long time. And it's, oh. And come on, it is what it is. I don't expect to have a total victory in my lifetime. I keep hoping to train other people to step in and take my position as the spearhead. I told them in a Montauk group, I said, guys, I'm getting old. It's time for some of you younger people to take that spearhead position and let me be the respected elder.
I knew you were going to use that terminology.
It's like, it would be nice. I mean, I'm not leaving the battle entirely, but it'd be nice to not be the one wielding the sword all the time.
Can't be a Valkyrie all the time.
Even the Valkyrie's got to sleep once in a while. We weren't always in battle. Sometimes we were on the ship, taking the folks we had brought back and talking to them, telling them what was going on, giving them the information that they were going to need to establish a new colony. It's a big step to go from the Dark Ages to establishing a space colony with the Germans. Even if we bring a cluster of them that speak the same language and believe the same things. Yeah. The culture shock is outrageous. And they were chosen specifically because they did not require electricity or running water or any of the things that modern society expects. They knew how to live without it. And we were using them to establish a new world and their infrastructure to build that new world. And they were valued because of their skill set. And that's a weird thing to explain to 21st century Americans that these people were valued because they didn't require modern conveniences. You know, that's something folks have a hard time wrapping their
Well, that
heads
makes them a stronger people to not have to rely on all this.
Yeah, they were. They are. The ones today, modern level, they're far advanced of us. They have a home. They usually have a partner. They contract how many kids they want and how those kids are going to be raised. They don't just go out and have sex willy-nilly and have kids that aren't wanted. They have plenty of food, they have homes, they have technology. The technology out there is unimaginable to Americans. You have 0-point energy. You have that means you have limitless free electricity to run everything. Not this shortages, you can't run your car today because, so-and-so has to run their heater. No, none of that crap. There are 0-point energy. Energy can be harvested from the rotational energy of the planet that they're living on. It can be harvested from the electrical differential between the poles of the planet that they're living on. Things that average Americans go, huh? But there's so much free energy on all of these worlds. And there are at least 1,000 worlds with at least 1 billion people each. There are trillions of Germans out there. And they're human beings who originally came from Earth. All of them. We're not talking about strangers here. We're talking about our fellow human beings. They just speak German. And they wanted the folks that were sent to them, they wanted us to want to join them. So they were good to us. That's something else Americans don't understand. Oh yeah, evil Germans. No, they were good to us. I had just gone through 5 years of being raped every damn day from the time I was 4 years old until I was sent to them. And they were good to me. No, I wasn't put into a family and raised with them. I was kept in a barracks with the other American kids I was sent with. But I was sent to school with their kids. I was taught to think and not just be a slave. I was incorporated into their culture, treated as one of them. They were mortified that the agency who had produced me had modified me with Drago DNA. They wanted Terran human, not hybrids. But if I had been purebred Terran human instead of a Drago hybrid, I wouldn't be back here now. They would have kept me. That was their intention. They wanted those people to want to stay with them. And they were good to us. And that's something. Yeah, they made fun of me because I was a hybrid. They called me a miscabert.
An abortion that lived.
Yeah, but they're still, they've told me that when I die here, that they will come get me and take me to Mars and regenerate me, and they will keep me there as long as they can still regenerate my body, because they value me, because I replace an ET on a ship. That's of value to them. And in the American programs, I'm just another body. Now, I still had a lot of confusion why they tolerated Pindar's bullshit. But he said it was a money deal, that he had ships that he gave them. So that happens everywhere. I mean, they're not perfect people either. So.
I mean, I don't see a lot of really good positive things happening up there, you know. I mean, most of it's usury and slavery, and
I
I
see
can
a lot
imagine
of
that's my life.
I see a lot of slavery, but among the German civilians, they're unaware of it. They have robots. They're unaware that there's a human pineal gland trapped inside it.
Yeah, that's basically what a cyborg is. I mean, you need the human neurons a lot of the times to make these robots. Like, they keep thinking that artificial intelligence is going to lack, it's just going to be a computer, but I don't believe that's true. I believe you need those neural pathways of the human brain
You need
to put
the
into a robot body.
you need the consciousness to operate the ET tech that we use out there.
And I don't think without those neural pathways, I don't think it's possible, because again, yes,
Yeah.
every robot, you would have to have some form of consciousness in it, and that's what they've lied to us about. They pretty much convinced us that these robots are just robots.
And they're
You know
not.
what I'm saying? Like,
So, but the German civilians out there are unaware of that. They think it's just a robot. And so, you know, does ignorance make them innocent? Not exactly, but it doesn't make them guilty either. And so I think that a lot of things need to be balanced in our outlook on them, because I didn't live among the civilians. I lived in the military, and every military has its abuses. And the longer I look at these memories, the more striking it is that I had privileges that I should not have had as an American. There were times I was deeply honored by them, as many times as I was insulted. So apparently I was treated as one of them for the most part. And I listened to some of these people out there. Oh yeah, the filthy, nasty, blah, 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 Nazis. And I'm like, no, they were just people that speak German and wear German uniforms, and you know, they were Germans. They weren't fascists. If anything, they were more like the Prussians before they created the German Empire, because they went back to that tribal attitude of things. Each planet
like the
colony,
Teutonic kind of.
yeah, each planet went back to a tribal identity. When they created a colony, the folks doing it were from the same century, the same general area. They spoke close to the same dialect, They had the same core beliefs. So they were basically a tribe right from the very beginning. And you know, that makes to Americans where everybody's sort of just dumped in together and expected to get along, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But to someone who has lived tribally, it does, you know. So anyway, I'm getting tired. My voice is fading out. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
I think we had a pretty good long show, Penny. Part 2, part 3 sounds good someday.
Sure. I have someone next week and someone the week after, and then I have part 2 of the Montauk Roundtable in March. So we'll be looking forward to all that. And I will put your contact information in the description. And thank you for volunteering to come.
Anytime, Penny.
Okay.
Hey, Lou, love you too, man.
You too. You take her easy.